Hi everyone, Jay here. As always, I'm going to offer you some recommendations and modifications for ways in which we might adapt our CrossFit linchpin workouts for kids. I'm going to take a closer look at Tuesday the 15th of March. We've got a heavy day, so going every 4 minutes for 28 minutes. We've got a complex. We've got one clean, one shoulder to overhead, one front squat, one shoulder to overhead. Now this would be a heavy day, and you would pick the load for that if you were doing that workout as an adult. Now, when thinking about adapting this workout, I had some key considerations, which was going to be my key component that I was going to focus on. And initially, because there was two shoulders to overheads, I considered making that the key component of the workout. And you could decide to do that with this workout. However, I decided to focus on the squat being one of the key components of the workout, and I'll go into more detail about that why as I'm explaining each of the workouts. And obviously this sort of being going every 4 minutes, I changed the sort of nature of the workout. So I've gone for an AMRAP for all of the different workouts that you might approach this with. So for the advanced kids, I've got an AMRAP for quality. So I'm going to be pushing 10, maybe 12 minutes. If you've got children that are sort of pushing closer to that sort of teen, even maybe a bit longer, possibly 15 minutes. But the main aspect of this is the movement, and the focus is of high quality throughout the workout. So I've gone 5 dumbbell front squats, a 10-meter roving plank, 5 box jump overs, and a 10-second handstand hold, and just working through that throughout the AMRAP. Now, I chose to focus on the front squat because it's a squat, to be quite honest, and the squat being such an important movement, a foundational piece, I decided to focus on that. And this could have quite easily been an air squat, as you'll see with the other workouts. However, I decided that as our children are more experienced here, it's appropriate to give them a little bit of load. So we're going to have 5 front squats. I kept the reps low so we maintain high quality throughout the movement. And then I looked at a 10-meter roving plank. Now the reason I chose the roving plank, is to keep it a bit dynamic, so to keep it a bit interesting, to change the stimulus a little instead of it just being a static plank, but also sort of thinking about keeping that tight midline is going to be an efficient thing that an adult needs to do here. So equally keeping a tight midline during that roving plank there would sort of hit that stimulus from the adult workout. And then I've got 2 other aspects here. I've got the 5 box jump overs. Now I've got the box jump overs in there because as often as we possibly can, we like to have some impact loading in our CrossFit Kids workouts. You know, in every session, you would see some element of impact loading. That might be some plyometric work during a warm-up, or it might be during the workout here. And then because we were going overhead, I wanted some overhead stimulus. And like I said, I could have chosen to focus on one of the shoulder to overhead, being the press, the push press, or the push jerk, even a split jerk. However, thinking about those key components that we like to see in our CrossFit Kids workouts is that stimulating that vestibular system, which gets stimulated by going upside down or having some rotations and some turns in there. I decided that we can work on some overhead strength by holding a handstand hold while also stimulating that vestibular system. So the workout for our advanced kids is an AMRAP for quality of movement, but quality of focus as well. 5 dumbbell squats, 10-meter roving plank, 5 box jump overs. Do not need to stand up at the top of that. I have a video showing you each of these movements. Now, for our less experienced children, to be honest, the workout is changing very little from our advanced children to our less experienced children. We're just here focusing on the air squat instead of giving them a load. Now, if, for example, you spent a lot of time focusing on the air squat and your children aren't quite ready for a loaded front squat, you can absolutely give them some unloaded front squats. And I'll have a video showing you what that looks like. Again, 10-meter roving plank. However, in here, you know, if you're limited for space or you want to change things up, you can go through any of those plank variations that we've gone through in the past. 5 box jump overs, the difference here being the height that they're jumping over, and then a 10-second handstand hold. Now, if your children haven't got a handstand hold, we can scale that much in the same way that you'd scale an adult. And I'll have a video showing you some handstand progressions for maybe an appropriate scale or an adaptation if your children can't do a handstand hold just yet. And then for our no equipment, really, the only difference between the less experienced and the no equipment option is that you don't have a box to jump over. So I've just put some broad jumps in there. Okay, I quite like the broad jumps, so that movement backwards and movement jumping forwards and then jumping backwards. If you're doing it that way, you could do it over a distance. So broad jump for 10 meters, for example. Have fun hitting this workout, guys, and look forward to seeing you next week. So here I've got my son doing a dumbbell front squat. So we was thinking about the same mechanics as we would with our squat. He's keeping his upper arm up high and parallel to the floor. You can see he does drop it a little bit. You can see I cued him in the very last one. Get those elbows up. And that seemed to work nicely for that squat. There you go. For our roving plank, we're just keeping a nice straight line between the shoulder, the hip and the ankle. Nice squeezing the tummy, squeezing the bottom, squeezing the glutes. And then just walking from one side to the other. Just with any jumping mechanics here, I'm really focusing on nice controlled landing, knees tracking the toes on the jump and particularly on the landing. And just taking their time, stepping down, being in control. Okay. Just for a handstand hold, sort of hands shoulder width apart, pushing into the ground. So nice active shoulder, squeezing the tummy and pointing those toes. Just really want to reiterate, when you're working with your less experienced athletes, just be focusing on one point of performance. It could be maintaining a lumbar curve, it could be the knees tracking the toes, it could be their stance or where their feet are, but one point of performance.
Really slow and controlled.
Just here we have our unloaded front squat. So same mechanics as an air squat, just they're putting their thumbs on their shoulders and their elbows are high. We call them laser squats, so getting those lasers nice and high and shooting high into the a target.
Pose up. All right.
Again, for the broad jump, just reiterating those jumping and landing techniques with the knees tracking the toes and the jump and the land.
Turn out with your arms and just come right up above your head. Good boy.
Going to go through the handstand progressions now. We're going to start off with a forward roll. So when we're starting with a forward roll, just teaching the children to get upside down, but also as a way to bail if we're doing any wall facing stuff. Next progression, we're just teaching them where to place their hands. Their stink bug. And then moving on to our piked handstand push-ups, so teaching them how to create that tripod. Forehead touching between the fingertips and then the head moving back between the arms on the way back up. The toe taps are really working on kicking up into the handstand, so we gradually decrease the height of the box and gradually increase the height of the toe taps. While working on the toe taps, we're simultaneously working on the wall walks, teaching the children what it feels like to get inverted. And you can gradually stagger that. So halfway up a wall, 3/4 of the way up the wall, and then walking themselves all the way up. Then we're going to link our toe taps and that wall walk together to create a full kick-up handstand. If you systematically work through those progressions, you'll be very surprised at how quickly your children can do some strict handstand push-ups. And then you can have lots of fun by playing some games or some handstand walks or some rotations, some pirouettes. You're only really limited to your imagination. I've got some ideas that you could do in the following videos.